You know that feeling that modern parenthood is just completely overwhelming? Well, you're not imagining it. We're going to take a look at why that is by going way, way back. Thousands of years, actually. It turns out the answer to our modern burnout might be hidden in our ancient past and in the one crucial thing we've lost, the village.
I mean, does this look familiar at all? That feeling of being totally on your own, responsible 24/7, with what feels like the weight of the entire world on your shoulders. If you've ever felt isolated or just completely touched out, you are so far from alone. And there's a really good reason you feel that way.
And this is the fundamental truth we really need to get into. This feeling of intense, isolated pressure, it's not some kind of personal failing. It's actually a massive conflict between our modern lives and, believe it or not, our evolutionary blueprint. You simply weren't built to do this all by your lonesome.
Okay, so let's break this down. Let's really diagnose the problem here. What exactly is this crisis, and where in the world did it come from?
You know, this whole do-it-all pressure, it feels like it's been around forever, right? But it hasn't, not even close. This expectation that one or maybe two parents should be the sole provider, caregiver, chef, teacher, and entertainer is an incredibly recent thing in the grand timeline of humanity. For tens of thousands of years, this just wasn't how we operated. And here's what happens when we try to live up to that impossible standard. We get this widespread burnout, a deep sense of loneliness even when we're literally never alone, and this crushing pressure to be perfect. This isn't just part of the job. It's a symptom of a system that's totally forgotten how we're supposed to function. All right, so if that's the problem, what on earth is the solution? Well, we can find a pretty amazing one by looking at the alternative, a concept that was absolutely central to our ancestors, alloparenting. The word itself is actually pretty simple and beautiful. Allo just means other. That's it. So an alloparent is an other parent. And this could be anyone, a grandmother, an uncle, an older sibling, or a trusted neighbor. In hunter-gatherer societies, these people weren't just occasional helpers. They were a core expected part of a child's upbringing. And when you put these two models side by side, wow, the difference is just so stark, isn't it? On one side, you have the modern, isolated parent, kind of trapped in this high-pressure loop. On the other, the hunter-gatherer mother is right in the middle of a whole web of support. The key difference isn't her ability, it's the entire environment built around her. So let's get into the nitty-gritty. How did this village thing actually work day to day? Let's look at the mechanics of it all. Okay, so this network, it was huge. And it was diverse. It wasn't just mom, not by a long shot. You had grandmothers. They were often key caregivers, passing down all that wisdom. Fathers were super involved, and so were aunts, uncles, and even the older kids who learned how to care for the younger ones. It was a genuine community effort. And this idea, this was absolutely crucial. A baby was almost always in physical contact with someone, passed from the mother to an aunt to a cousin. But here's the key. This didn't just benefit the child. It meant the mother was also never alone. She had hands-free time to work, to rest, to just talk with other adults, all while knowing her kid was safe and loved. You know, if you actually chart this out, the numbers are kind of mind-blowing. A mother's direct care was vital, of course, but research suggests that it often made up less than half of the total. The majority of the childcare load was spread out across the village, across all those alloparents. Just imagine that for a second. Okay, I get it. This all sounds amazing, but we don't live in hunter-gatherer times anymore, right? So how can we possibly use this wisdom in our chaotic, modern lives? So let's get one thing straight. The goal here isn't to, build a yurt in the backyard. It's about reclaiming the spirit of the village, that core idea of shared care and mutual support, and finding clever ways to bring it into our lives today. So here's a simple 4-step framework you can actually use. First, and this is maybe the hardest part, you have to admit you can't do it all. Then, get specific. Instead of a vague, I need help, try asking, hey, could you possibly watch the kids for just 1 hour on Tuesday so I can finally get to that doctor's appointment? Third, make it a two-way street. Create a system where you help each other out, like a babysitting co-op. And finally, redefine what family means. Your village can absolutely be made up of friends, neighbors, and other parents who get it. Look, we've all heard the saying, right? It takes a village. But when you understand where it really comes from, man, it just hits different. It's not some cute saying. It's a statement of biological and social fact. It has always been true.
So I want to leave you with this question to think about. Who is in your village right now? And what's just one tiny, specific thing you could do, maybe even this week, to make it a little bigger and a little stronger?